السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا بيك.
اهلا بكل الشباب اللي معانا. ازيك يا باشمهندس نزار، عامل
أهلا
ايه؟
بيك يا باشمهندس شيرين، ازيكم؟ Thank you everyone, and thank you Symbios team for giving me this opportunity again, and hope you enjoy this webinar. It will be as usual simple and easy to understand, and hopefully will be useful for everyone.
Thank you very much. So I think it's okay to start now. What do you think?
Yes, okay. I will share my screen.
Please, yes, and please introduce yourself, Nizar. So Nizar comes with more than 25 years of experience. He has lots of knowledge in procurement, in IT, in setting policies and leading organizations. And we are so happy to have you with us today, Nizar.
Thank you, Shireen. Okay, I'll start a bit about myself. Shireen already introduced. Just quick, I worked for most of the time multinational companies in the supply chain. I have also a background in IT. I graduated from Cairo University with the communication engineering major, and now I'm working as a freelance consultant for the supply chain and digitalization, process automation, and data analytics. Today's topics, we will focus on how to develop professional and efficient policies and procurement policies. And we will focus at the end on how to integrate sustainability and international standards. This is now a hot topic. Everybody's focusing on this. Okay, we will start with the definition. What is the difference between policies and procedures? And what are the key elements? What each one contain or include? And then benefits of policies and procedures, why we need to have policies and procedures. And then the major issue is the step-by-step guide. It will be quick and simple. And then we will see why and when we should review or update the procedures. And finally, we will see how to integrate the sustainability into the policies and procedures. And we will take a look on how to involve the supplier in like supplier code of conduct and have visibility for multi-tier supply chain for suppliers. Starting with the policy. Policy is what is the policy? It's the main topics that define the standards, the strategy, and the guideline to conduct an efficient, compliant, and ethical procurement activities. These three are important, and it should be aligned with the organization objectives and values. What does it contain? It's in general, of course, no details. It's how the planning and sourcing strategy works, how we choose vendors, I mean, as a general guideline or outline, based on what, and it shows the risk assessment that the company is doing, the purchasing authorities who can approve what, to which limit, and how the goods and service are received and accepted as also a general guideline, and how invoices are paid. So as you can see, it's not just procurement, it's the complete cycle, which all the departments should be involved in. As for the procedure, it explains the details of how the policies are done, how things are done, this process step by step. It gives instructions to every employee in the company, not only the procurement stuff, and how to follow in order to execute each procurement phase and in a way that efficient and consistent way. The procedure should include the process workflow and specific action when a certain thing happened, vendor sourcing and registration, how it's done, a request for order or contract management, the rules for competition, when to make competitive bidding and when to make non-competitive bidding, and when to issue or to form a purchasing committee, what are the conditions and why. And it shows it have to contain standard templates and references for other documents like conflict of interest and the general documents for the company. And when the documents and records should be, until when should be stored. What is the retention period for documents? So why do we need to have policies and procedures. First, we have to be compliant with the local and international laws and regulations. And it should ensure the standardization and consistency of the process. And it shows transparency and accountability of the company actions. And it provides risk mitigation and resilience for the process. It also helps have effective planning and strategy, providing guidelines for ethical practice. And it shows clear rules for the spend management and cost reduction. Now, so everybody, of course, there's the targets for every company to have cost saving. So the procedure should show how it's done, how we do the spend management, and how we calculate the saving. And finally, but this is an important topic, it facilitates the auditing and tracing of activities. For example, if an auditor comes and see how things are done, if the auditor has a point of view or an opinion, but his personal opinion, but it's contradicting with the policies, you can argue with this and say, okay, no, this is the policy and this is the procedure. This is how things are done here. So the auditor, if this is everything, every step is written in the procedure, so you are clear. You can't get any finding in. So any question before we start the steps? Okay. I shall continue. Okay, first step.
أعتقد احنا هناخد الأسئلة في الآخر خالص فخلينا نكمل.
Okay, so everything is clear, I guess. First step, we should conduct a comprehensive assessment for the organization procurement needs. How large is the organization? What are the categories involved? What does the procurement buy and doesn't buy? What are the resources we have? So collecting all the information. This is the first step. Second step is to identify what are the legal and regulatory requirements that govern the procurement operation related to the country, related to if it's an international company, the mother company, or any regulations that we should follow as a department. And then we should prioritize the objectives of the company. So is it the cost saving, the efficiency, the diversity of the suppliers, the risk mitigation and sustainability? This should be clarified. What are the priorities of the company? Number 4 is to form an implementation team. This is very important. So as I mentioned earlier, it's not only procurement that is doing the procedure. It's the procedure involving every department. So the implementation team should involve all the stakeholders that involved in the process itself. Could be finance, IT, technical, sales, legal department. I believe it's every department in the company. So every department should nominate someone to join this team as an implementation for the process of procedure and policies. And it should define clear rules, who does what, and the responsibilities and the timeline that they finish. Then we should define and collect all the relevant data. Like what is the scope of work, what are the policies, and what are the authorities, the sources, how we buy things, any technical systems we should follow, and so on. After we collect all the information and form the team, we can start the documentation, stating the process step by step. How we start, who is involved, and what is the timeline, involving also charts and like flow charts, graphs, and everything we should have to make it clear for everyone who is reading this procedure. After we write everything as a step, we should agree on a standard forms and standard layout to use during each process. And we should provide also links to resources that we can need during the purchasing process or the supply chain process in every step. Then we should also ensure the compatibility and applicability of what we are writing to the systems that we have, and to make sure that, to keep in mind any potential automation. This is the final step. After we write everything down and do all the steps, we should seek feedback, not from the team working on the procedure, no, but for every stakeholder. Everybody should review or give his opinion, and if there's any comments, we should adjust accordingly. Now we have finished the steps. These are useful tips during the implementation. When writing the procedure, we should balance between covering all the information that should be written and providing a user-friendly reference. We don't want to make it a complicated or too much things to read about. Then we should also keep it simple, not write like complicated terms or complex terms, technical terms. No, we should address the average employee, not consider that everybody's an expert. Also, we should include a definition table, like the glossary, the definition, the abbreviations at the beginning of the process, so everybody knows what like ERP means, what EFC means, and so on. Using visuals, graphs, and flowchart, as I mentioned, it will be easy to understand and read. After it's finished, we should conduct training session. After the final procedure is approved, we should conduct a session, quick session for all the employees, introducing what's the new procedure or updated procedure, and explaining everybody's role and responsibilities in the company. And we should always nominate a contact person, like to provide support or give resources during the reading the process. It's very important also to monitor if we are implementing a new procedure or we have made an update. We should monitor if it's working well or not. We should set some KPIs to evaluate these procedures. Is it working for the benefit of the company or creating some complexity and so on? And if things went well, we should recognize and highlight the successful result. This will help that people will be encouraged to follow the procedure, because if you're showing that this procedure or policy have made significant result for the company or for the staff or speeding things up, it should be highlighted, should be introduced to everyone. Okay, now we want to see we have a poll. Participants should give their opinion. Can we see it, man? Should give a minute or minute and a half to finalize this. Okay, I think we're almost finished. Okay, so the majority is they are updating the procedure between 2 and 4 years, which is not bad. But 19% they updated 4 years or more, maybe like 10 years. Okay. Now we will see what is the optimum. To understand the basic concept, it's updating. A review and update is a continuous process. It's not something done like a fixed table, but this is, it could be changed or could be updated whenever and things change. And to keep in mind this, so when we do any update, it should be provided a version number, effective date, indicating what have been changed. A start page saying this is like version 2, what we have changed, 1 page or 2 pages, depending on the changes, to understand so everybody knows what have been changed. You don't have to go through again all the procedure. And if, of course, I think most of the companies are using a portal, intranet, so it has to be updated. Remove or delete all the old version that's not applicable and update it with the newer version. Now we will see when and why to update. So as you can see, the concept is adapting to change. What kind of change? If the change of business needs or industry standards, either in the company or nationwide, worldwide. So if there's also a change in legal or regulatory requirements for the country, of course, or maybe worldwide as well. Changing operating system or introducing new technology. For example, if you're using like e-portal, e-bidding portal, this should be included in the procedures to clarify. And whenever there's a merger or acquisition, or there's a large scale change in management, like could be like centralized or a major change in the department names or the responsibilities, this should be reflected on the procedures. And as we talked in the previous slide, we were going to set KPIs to see if these changes had made negative or positive results. If it shows negative results, the procedure should be updated or changed to reflect a positive result. And as a best practice, you should set a schedule, for example, beginning of every year or end of every year. This is the ideal. Every year it should be reviewed. If nothing changed, regularly, every year is okay. Or 2 years, maybe it's not better. Okay, this is the main topic, or let's say this the hot topic, how to integrate sustainability, environment, social and governance into this procurement process. So why would you apply international standards? I'm saying about ISO standards or different or generally the sustainability. So the objective is to improve the efficiency and harmonize with the regulations, as well as providing solution to mitigate risk, conduct efficient and sustainable supply chain. So as we can see, there's a specific ISO for the 20,400. This is sustainable procurement. So now embedding the sustainability is becoming essential. Okay, can we see the second poll, please? It's important also to know if it's considered widely or just marginally considered or mentioned somehow in the procedure or not mentioned at all. I'm speaking about sustainability and standards. Okay, it's good to see that the majority is considering the sustainability in the procurement procedures here. Okay, we have 64% said yes, 8% marginally mentioned, and 28% said no, it's not included. Okay, so why we should have sustainability embedded in the procurement procedures? We mentioned before the audit, but it's not the audit. We need to show the suppliers, and of course, every company now or every employee should care about the planet, should care about the future. So it's not something just to be written. We should show or change the mindset of the people that we care about the planet, care about the environment, and also the human rights and all the related topics, and the governance, of course. So it should be considered as a part of the daily operation and decision making of the company. Also in the tender conditions, the bid evaluation, and the supplier scoring. We score supplier based also on their sustainability consideration, not only the price and technical work. So how this can be done? This is just an example. In our bid or request for a bid or request for proposal or quotation should also require energy efficient equipment if we are buying equipment or spare parts. And we should ensure the supplier is committed to reduce the CO2 emission. For example, also using reduced packing, recycled or compostable material. And if we are doing contracts, we should also include sustainability requirements in the contract clause. I mentioned earlier the ISO 20400. This is dedicated for sustainable procurement. This is an international standard providing guideline or sustainable procurement. It contains key consideration to improve the organization's social, economic, and environmental sustainability. This is, of course, promoted by the UN Sustainable Development Goals and help organizations align their procurement process and contribute positively to human rights, environmental obligation, and managing risk and opportunities. So considering the sustainability not only in the company, but also for our suppliers, every company should have a supplier code of conduct. This is a document should be signed by the supplier or to have his consent as a guideline describing what we expect from the investors, stakeholders, and suppliers as a commitment towards human rights and fair practice, ethical, and preventing corruption and endorsing sustainability. Also, the reason we do this, we have to demonstrate to our suppliers that we are looking for partners or looking for suppliers that share our vision and values, and promoting to extend the sustainability and transparency as well throughout the supply chain, not only as an individual company. Here I will speak about having multi-tier supplier or supply chain visibility. This illustration shows simply what does it mean, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 supplier. For example, if a company is selling t-shirts, they are dealing with a supplier that manufactures a t-shirt, and the second supplier is dealing with another supplier that providing raw material. So having visibility until tier 3 supplier, this improves the performance and guarantees or ensuring sustainability throughout the supply chain. How we can do this? There's something called the supplier due diligence questionnaire, a questionnaire that every supplier should fill, collecting evidence from the suppliers or suppliers that what their approach towards sustainability, conducting associated compliance program together with the suppliers, and performing regular checks for their commitment. Can we display all three, please? Amen.
Okay, I'm launching it.
Yes.
1 minute.
Yeah, I can see it. Okay, this is to know if the company you work with, okay, they have multi-tier supplier visibility or in other words, do you check or do you audit the second tier supplier or third tier supplier or not? Okay, no more participants. Okay, we can stop now. It's equally that 48% said yes, they monitor. And another 48% said no, but we should do it. This is good. And 5% said no. Okay, this is not bad. Here to see what's actually happening. So the recent studies shows that a very insignificant percentage actually monitoring or auditing tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers. In our poll, it was 5%, and it's actually 5% of the companies that are auditing tier 2 suppliers and monitoring the suppliers in terms of data protection, critical material supply, and compliance. Let's focus about the compliance. It's the same. It's 3%. So tier 1, 74%, and so on. Speaking about the emission, CO2 emission, there's a research done by Accenture. They found that tier 1 suppliers only responsible for 36% out of the 60% upstream emission that generated by the global supply chain. So it's 60% as a total. Tier 1 is responsible for 36. The rest is by tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers. This is a quick illustration in order to know what is tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers and what's different between upstream and downstream activities. So the company here in the middle, the company is the reporting company, reporting the emission is first scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 are the emission upstream, the sources of the material that's the company is working with, and downstream are their production and a cycle of their production, logistics, and so on. Okay, I finished. Now we can have some questions.
اوكي احنا ممكن نتشيك الكويشنز اللي في
Okay, in the chat.
Q&A bank. Yes.
Well, Q&A, just few questions, but not actually questions. I think also in the chat, there's some questions.
Yes.
Okay, someone is asking about example for the automation of the procurement. This was a different webinar, but is it an automated PO? We can have automated PO. I can answer in briefly, but this requires another half an hour of explanation. But there's some companies doing automated POs. To explain what is automated POs, it's if there's a supplier that we have a contract with, and there's a system, or the PR is generated by the technical or by the requester. Of course, he has the one nominated and officially to do the PRs. The PO is done automatically, but this is a subject that we have a valid contract with a certain supplier. Okay, Tarek Yusuf, is mandatory depending on the company. It's not mandatory, but if a company wants to be certified, it's important to be certified as sustainable procurement. In the near future, I think it will be mandatory, but at the moment, depending on the company needs or the company, they want to show themselves as caring about sustainability. So the question when has been issued, I'm not sure, but I think it's recent. Maybe Shireen or Iman, you know exactly when what was issued?
No, I don't think so.
But then it's easy to search and find out. But it's very recent, maybe 3 or 4 years.
We have another questions in the Q&A bank. Can you check, please?
Okay. Flowcharts. Okay. Nice. Using flowchart. Okay, no, it's sometimes flowchart is enough if it's clear, if it's just saying all the information. But of course, it will help writing few lines describing some details or some values, because the flowchart is only saying how the process work or how it's flow. But it doesn't mention figures, for example, when we should do competitive bidding and when we should not. I mean, for the values, and for example, over $50,000 or £50,000, we should do competitive bidding and invite number of suppliers. Okay, what's the difference between procedures and work instructions? It's almost the same, but to call it procedure, procedure is including the instructions. But maybe the work instruction, if you mean some more details, it doesn't hurt to have also a work instruction, but this is related to a certain department. Like it could be internally in one department. No, but the procedure, all the departments should understand it and work with it. The next question, how AI is going to affect procurement, especially in terms of procedures. Any tips? Okay, AI can help procurement, but so far not in the procedure, because procedures is something everybody's have to think about it and involving all the departments. It's not recommended to automate how we write the procedures. Unless the procedures is, for example, I'm just brainstorming here with you. If the company is doing procedures for like 20 years and just want to find what are the weak points. So I think AI can help in this, but not writing a procedure. The next question is, there a standard international policies have periodically updated? and procurement process like e-procurement. Let me understand the question. So, can you explain the question? Is there a standard international policies? There's a standard like ISO standard and so on, and the Incoterms is a part of the supply chain. So if it's updated, this is a reference, as I mentioned previously in some slide. We should show references to some documents or policies. This can be a reference. It doesn't have to be written in details in the procedure because this is something standard, but we can refer to it. There's a link because I think now every company has the soft copy of the procedures in the portal. It's not now written the book on the shelf. So references is easy to include also in the document. The same criteria like Incoterms. Okay, still not clear for me. Okay, next question. I know the public companies are required to report ESG. Good. Is it mandatory for other companies as well? I mean, if the company wants to compete in the market, it should also consider the ESG and the sustainability in general. Okay, no more questions. I would like to add also, the benefits of procedures and also involving new people. For example, if a new hire comes to the company, the first thing they do, or we let them see the procedure on the policy to understand, let's say, tell him this is how we do things around here. But also we should not give him just something to read and memorize without giving his opinion. It's also nice to have fresh eyes to read this procedure, and they can also give us their opinion, even if it's a new hire, if it's a young person. Because as you can see, this is the same concept of brainstorming. We get someone away from the subject and to give their opinion, which would be very helpful. Okay, no more questions? Okay, thank you very much. I hope you all benefited from this webinar and hope to see you again.
Mr. Nizar, this is a certificate of appreciation from Symbios-Consulting.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And
Thank
looking
you,
forward to seeing
everybody,
you
and
again.
thank you, Iman, and all the team.
Thank
We hope
you.
to see you again.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.